Hello everyone and welcome to Sharp Dress Gaming, and today we're going to actually be looking over the new set that's going to be coming out actually tomorrow. Today actually. I'm recording this the day before. It's coming out tomorrow, and it's called Roaring Skies. Now, for those of you who don't know, Roaring Skies is going to be the newest set in the X and Y series for the Pokemon TCG, and it's revolving around Mega Rayquaza, Mega Latios, Mega Gallade, and Shaman, and it's kind of a flying kind of theme, flying type Pokemon. So we're gonna look over a couple of cards here that I thought were notable, and some honorable mentions as well. I thought maybe cute attacks, you know, the art in them is really cool, or something that I'd like to see actually be successful, but I don't think actually will be. So let's actually take a look here. The first on my list is Beautifly. Nothing crazy. I did like the ability of Miraculous Scales. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. So this is going to be taking place of cards like Sigilith, like Suicune, but it's a little harder to use because it is a stage 2. So I kind of like that they're giving it that little backup, but it does... I don't know, it's a weird dynamic because the EXs are so big in the game right now that once the rotation happens where we lose Suicune and Sigilith, we're going to have to rely on Beautifly and Pyroar, these evolution cards that takes a little more time to get out than just throwing down a Suicune or a Sigilith. A Whirlwind, it's an okay attack. It does 80 damage for 3 energy. That'd be better if it was a basic, but of course it's stage 2. And you're allowed to switch. Your opponent has to switch their active Pokemon. They get to choose. So it's kind of like escape rope in that way. But this also allows you to, if your Pokemon's bringing up their Pokemon that's not an EX to attack your Beautifly, you can Whirlwind them out. They have to bring up their EX. It's kind of neat. I like it. So I think that might see play not as much as Sigilith and Suicune have, but some people won't be trying to use it, you know, that kind of stuff. Next, we're gonna see Ninjask, kind of a Ninjask traditional card where it's a little gimmicky. Wing Buzz, the ability, once during your turn before you attack, if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. So, kind of a way to start, getting rid of your opponent's cards, but you have to get rid of one of your own, so it's not the best. But the After Image Assault, 30 damage, and you get to search your deck for 2 Ninjask and put them onto your bench, so you can skip that evolution line for Nincada, and you can Wing Buzz some more, you know. So again, kind of gimmicky. I'm sure there'll be decks with it, but it won't be anything worth bringing to like big giant tournaments, you know. After Ninjask, we have our first EX in the set with Thunderous EX. Thunderous is nothing crazy. Headlock does 30 plus 30, it's 30 plus. Flip a coin if heads, this does 30 more damage. If tails, your opponent's active Pokemon is paralyzed. So it's kind of a win-win there. So I like those win-win coin flip situations. Voltage Rush for 150 damage and does 50 to itself. So again, not crazy, but it's better than what we have been seeing for some of them. The next one on the list here is actually Natu. So this is one of the ancient trait cards that we've seen come out with the Primal Clash set. They're continuing it with Roaring Skies. Natu has the Delta Plus ancient trait, where if your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from this Pokemon, you get one more prize card. So we saw this with Lugia with Overflow, its ability. Of course, a lot more Pokemon have it now because the ancient traits are they're used through multiple Pokemon. I think Dustox has it. I think Articuno has it, but I think Natu is the more notable one, even though it only has 40 HP. The attack Psywave is 10 times the number of energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So it's like a cute little Eviltal, Psychic type Eviltal. It won't be as good as Eviltal, obviously, or Mewtwo for that matter, but I liked the combination of the ability and the Natu. I don't see it really getting used, but I like when they try. And they try to make a scary-looking basic Pokemon. Next I'm going to bring up is Beignet, mostly for its ability. Tool Concealment. Each Pokemon tool card in play has no effect. So that can be pretty devastating to a lot of cards, including things like Muscle Band. It doesn't give it the plus 20. Any Spirit Link, it would shut off Spirit Link, so you still have to follow the Mega Evolution rule. Just all this kind of stuff, and we'll see some more cards coming up that Beignet will affect, but those are the bigger ones. Genesect G-Booster wouldn't work. Things like that, Victory Piece. I'm at a loss of other tools for right now, but those are the main ones that I'm thinking about with Beignet. Again, it's gonna take up parts of your deck, so you won't see it as often, but something you probably will end up seeing at some point. Next on the main list here, we come up to more EXs, and apparently, there we go. My computer, I don't know what went on there. The mouse just stopped working. Actually, we're going to look at the EXs in their full art version just so we don't have to go through them again. So we're going to skip Gallade for now, and we're going to come over to Absol. It's Cursed Eyes ability, which actually this goes in coordination with the Gallade, so we might have to just look at them. Ability Cursed Eyes. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may move 3 damage counters from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another of his or her Pokemon. Mach Claw, it's 30, no resistance, whatever. But with that, you can move 3 damage counters around. So now we're going to look at the Gallade EX. We'll look at the full arts, I guess, later, just to look at the arts. But Swift Lunge is 30, and you get to switch with one of your opponent's active or bench Pokemon. You may have your opponent switch. So it's another one of those ones where your opponent gets to choose. Then Piercing Prize, 50 plus 20 for each remaining prize card that you have. So the most that can do is 110, which is okay. But Mega Gallade EX actually does 110 base damage, so that's awesome. And then the Unwavering Blade attack, like I said, 110. This attack does 30 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon that already has damage counters on it. So you can be using that Gallade EX to be getting 30 damage, pushing them back to the bench. So you're getting damage counters back there, and then with the Absol, you can move those 30 damage around if you keep stacking up the 30 on things, and then go Gallade. It's not going to be a smooth strategy, but it'll be a strategy nonetheless. Next here on the list, I do have Jirachi. Diminutive Desire. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck and put one of them in your hand. Shuffle the other cards back in your deck. So not crazy. It could be good. Kind of a worse version of Stellar Guidance, where we see with Jirachi EX right now, that allows you to get a support out of your deck. You only get to get 1 card. But I liked the attack Doom Desire. Discard all energy attached to this Pokemon. The defending Pokemon is knocked out at the end of your opponent's next turn. So, whatever your opponent has active is going to be dead. It's not one of those ones where you can retreat, get rid of it. It's the defending Pokemon. So whatever is defending, it's going to get knocked out the next turn. So they can switch out into something they don't want, but it's forcing a switch either way. So I kind of like that. And you're not killing Jirachi, you're just getting rid of all your energy, so you can Diminutive Desire again. Could be interesting. Next on the line is Togekiss. Both the ancient and the non-ancient Pokemon. We got the normal one here with Powerful Slap, 50 times the amount of... you get to flip a coin for each energy attached to this Pokemon. It is 50 times the number of heads. So it's okay. Aura Sphere, another okay move, 70 damage and then 20 on the bench. But the ancient trait Togekiss, I was actually really impressed with. It's got Delta Evolution for its ancient trait. You may play this card from your hand to evolve a Pokemon during your first turn or the turn you play that Pokemon. So there's a lot of changes to the rules here with this set, allowing you to evolve right away. And we'll see some other ones coming up here that their attacks allow you to attack right away turn 1, because there has been a rule for quite a while now where you can't attack if you go first, and some Pokemon are allowed to. So we'll see that, but Togekiss also has an ability, aside from its ancient trait, Serene Grace. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may look at the top 8 cards of your deck, choose any basic energies you find there, and attach them to your Pokemon any way you like. Shuffle the other cards back in your deck. So if you look at the top 8 cards and you have like 5 energies, you get to attach them all. That just is mind-boggling to me. And then Fairy Wind, 60 damage. Not the best, but it's something. Next on our list, we have a Dragonite. Ability, for the most part for this, Max Wind. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may heal all damage from one of your Pokemon. So, kind of like a Max Potion, but you don't get rid of energies. Not bad. Mock Press, 80 damage. Flip 2 coins. If both of them are heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. So a lot of these cards that we're looking at are Stage 2 Pokemon that have cool abilities that you probably won't see that often, but I'm sure people will try, and maybe they'll get good ways to get them in. But a lot of these evolution cards are going to be harder to use because they are evolutions. And you see things like Seismitoad that stop rare candy. Evolutions just aren't doing good in the time of the EX right now. But we also have the Ancient Trait Dragonite. Did I want to see that? Not really, but we're going to look at it now that it's up. It's also got that same Delta Plus ability, where you get an extra prize card if you knock out. Wrapped Wind. Attach 2 basic energy cards from your hand to this Pokemon. Whatever. Heavy Impact, 150 for 5 energy. It's cool because it's a non-EX Pokemon. It has 160 HP, which is that awkward hit point range where they're going to have to try and knock out for an EX, but it's not an EX, so kind of neat there. Next we have the Altaria Song of Echoes. Shuffle your hand to your deck, then draw a number of cards equal to the number of bench Pokemon, both yours and opponents. So it's Colress in attack form. So not as good as Colress, but again, rotation's going to be happening soon, so Colress will be out of the format, and you'll have Altaria. And then Midnight Eyes, 30, and your opponent's active Pokemon's now asleep. Nothing too crazy. Next on the list is Salamence, one of the very few 3-attack Pokemon that we have in the format now. Shattered for single energy is 60 damage. Not bad. And again, the Salamence has 160 HP, so it's up there towards the EX level of HP. And you get to discard any stadium card in play. So that can be helpful when your opponent's relying on their stadium. You can just hit for 60 and get rid of their stadium for a single energy. And then you have Power Howl. It's 20 times the number of cards in your opponent's hand. So if they got a big hand, start Power Howling them. And then Steam Blast does 170. Discard 3 energies attached to this Pokemon. That is a 4 energy attack, so it's one of those ones where it's a heavy hitting attack, but then you got to discard. So next we'll see Latios EX. And this Pokemon actually has an attack that I was talking about. Fast Raid does 40 damage for single energy. If you go first, you can use this attack on your first turn. So it's one of those ones that's getting around the rules now, changing how we play. And that can be helpful for things like, I guess, Night March, where they have a 30 HP Pokemon starting off, knock it out. Execute Dex, that kind of stuff. Light Pulse does 110 damage for 4 energy. Prevent all effects of your opponent's attacks except damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. So things that are like attacks that, what am I trying to say here? Do damage and then poison, you wouldn't get poisoned. That kind of stuff. Then we have the Mega Latios. With Sonic Ace, discard 2 energy attached to this Pokemon. This attack does 120 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So this is one of those attacks you can hit Pokemon off the bench for. If they're retreating, trying to keep them alive, just Mega Latios them. Kill them dead. And it's only 3 energy, so it's not as bad as some of those 4 energy attackers. And then we get to Rayquaza EX. Now, there is 2 Rayquaza EX and 2 Mega Rayquaza EX in this deck, and it's kind of overkill, but, you know, everybody loves Rayquaza. So we got Dragon Claw, kind of a subpar attack there, especially for 2 energy, 30 damage. And then Dragon Strike, 130, again, but flip a coin if tails this Pokemon can't use Dragon Strike during next turn. It's not the best EX, and it's a Dragon type, so it's weak to Fairy, which, of course, Fairies gain popularity with Guard. Sorry about the interruption, guys. I'm not entirely sure where I left off there, but I'll just continue with Dragon Strike, 130 damage, flip a coin if tails this Pokemon can't use Dragon Strike during your next turn. Kind of a terrible EX, in my opinion. But we'll see another Rayquaza that's a little bit better. But these Rayquazas are mostly for their Megas anyway. This Mega Rayquaza is well, actually, let me go back to this Rayquaza. Okay, I was just making sure, because this one has an Ancient Trait. I didn't actually see that to begin with. This one has Delta Wild as an Ancient Trait, and it's any damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Grass, Fire, Water, or Electric Pokemon is reduced by 20. That's quite a bit of types, considering there's less types of Pokemon in TCG than there are in the video game, just because a lot of types are doubled up into one typing. It takes out quite a bit of them. So it's Grass and Bug, Fire, Water, and Ice, and Electric, because it's well, I was gonna say it's taken on the Delta Stream ability, but that doesn't really stop grass or fire, so I guess it's just like the main types it's trying to block here. And then the attack Dragon Ascent does 300 damage, which knocks out everything in the game, flat out. You can discard 2 energy cards attached to this Pokemon, so essentially it's a Mega Charizard X EX, the X version of it, except instead of Darkness Energy, it's electric. It's essentially the same card. It might even have the HP as the same HP as that Charizard, but of course this one has a Spirit Link, so you don't have to follow the Mega Evolution rule. And this is by far probably my favorite card in the whole set. The art looks really cool. I like the ability. I like the attack. Hydreigon EX. Dragon Road ability. If there is any stadium card in play, the retreat cost of each of your Dragon Pokemon in play is 2 energy less. So say we have something like Latios, who has a 2 retreat cost. It would have 0, so it has free retreat. That's not why I like the card mostly. It's mostly for the Shred attack. 80 damage. This attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So say Pyro is out. Pyro has the ability where basic Pokemon cannot attack it. Hydreigon can with Shred. So just something interesting there. It can't one-shot, unfortunately. You'd have to have Muscle Band, Hypnotoxic Laser, or Poison it with Verbank. But still doing 80 damage to a Pyro is not bad by any means. Next we see Reshiram and Zekrom. I'm not going to bring up Zekrom because it's nothing to write home to mom about. But this is actually the first time we're seeing Reshiram and Zekrom as Dragon-type Pokemon, I believe. They've been Fire and Electric respectively, but Reshiram's Turbo Blaze ability, once during your turn before you attack, if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, you may attach a fire energy from your hand to one of your Dragon Pokemon, so you can start building up your Rayquaza. Fire energy is just anything else. Salamence uses fire energy. And then Reshiram also has the Bright Wing attack, 110 damage, discard a fire energy attached to this Pokemon. I don't think it will be as much of an attacker as much as it will be for its ability. A lot of those kind of Pokemons in this set. Pokemons. Next on the list, Reshiram, we go down to Altaria, the Ancient Trait Altaria. Of course, it's got the Delta Evolution that allows you to evolve right away. Clear Humming, each of your colorless Pokemon has no weakness. And then Wing Attack. So it's mostly going to be used for Clear Humming for your Rayquaza, which is coming up here. Because we have a colorless Rayquaza as well. So with that Altaria, Rayquaza wouldn't be weak to Electric. So that's pretty neat. Intensifying Burn, an attack we've seen before with Victini EX, but of course, instead of 3 energy, it's only 1. So it's only doing 10 damage, and then plus 50 if it's a Pokemon EX that it's attacking. Dragon Pulse for 100 damage, discard the top 3 cards of your deck. So it's either you go with the Rayquaza that's Dragon Striking for 130 for 4 energy, and you might not get to attack with that attack next turn, or you go for 100 damage for 3 energy, and you have to discard 3 cards. So pick your poison. But again, we come to the Mega Rayquaza EX. Delta Evolution, so you get to actually Mega Evolve your this Rayquaza right away. If you get the Spirit Link on there, you don't have to follow Mega Evolution rule. You can start Mega Rayquazing pretty quickly. Emerald Break is 3 energy, 30 times, and is times the number of your bench Pokemon, which we'll see a card coming up here that's going to be helping that Mega Rayquaza quite a bit when it's 30 times, and I'm actually going to write that down to remember so we can do the math when we get to that card. Next, we'll see a Shaymin EX. Ability setup. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may draw cards until you have 6 in your hand. So drawing is always awesome in the TCG because having a bad draw or not being able to draw can really kill you in a game. So you play as Shaymin when you have low card count. You get 6 new cards in your hand. And then it has the attack Sky Return. Does 30 damage, which is like, who really cares? But you get to return this card in Pokemon and all cards attached to it to your hand. So you get to use setup again. So that's what makes this Shaymin really neat. Who's next? Pheasant. I never thought I'd be saying Pheasant in a cards that are worth mentioning review. Strong Winds. Shuffle all cards attached to each player's Pokemon into that player's deck. So if your opponent's all set up, Strong Winds them. It's unfortunate that it's a 3 energy attack, but and a stage 2 Pokemon. But I found it pretty neat. I don't think it'll see much play. Probably would have been better in honorable mentions, but And then we have the Ancient Trade Wound Pheasant, of course, Delta Evolution. We've seen that a few times. Feather Dance. During your next turn, each of this Pokemon's attack does 80 more damage, so obviously opposite of what the video game's Feather Dance does, because in the video game, Feather Dance actually lowers your opponent's attack. In the TCG, apparently it raises yours by 80, and then Sky Attack is Pheasant's secondary attack, which Feather Dance is boosting. Originally 120, it'd be doing 200 damage, which knocks out anything that's not a Mega or a Wailord EX. So flip a coin of tails, this attack does nothing. That's the unfortunate part of it. You can miss. Of course, we got our stupid little Fletchling that's in every set and doesn't have it. Actually, it does have evolutions. I just skipped over them. But we have it Fletchling yet again. Of course, we do see the Spearlinks for Gallade, allowing us to Mega Evolve right away. Latios, well, not right away, but it gets around the Mega Evolution, which usually ends your turn as soon as you Mega Evolve. So we see the Gallade, Latios, Rayquaza. I think that's all of our Megas in this set. There's 4 Mega Evolutions in this set. I think there's usually 3 at the most, usually 2. So quite a few Mega Evolutions this time. Well, we had 4 Mega Evolutions in the last set. 2 of them are primal, technically, but... so we come to our first item card, a Pokemon tool, called Healing Scarf. Whenever you attach an energy card from your hand to the Pokemon this card is attached, you heal 20 damage. So it's not bad, especially when you've got Pokemon that are going to be taking a lot of energy, or say you have energy... what's it called? Energy... Acceleration. Energy acceleration, such as Blastoise or Emboar. Or Emboar? Yeah, that's his name. Emboar. Those kind of Pokemon where you get to attach multiple per turn, and then you're healing a lot per turn. So that could be useful there. We also see the Mega Turbo attach a basic energy from your discard pile to one of your Mega Evolution Pokemon. So you just throw a couple of those down, get some energies going. Your Mega Evolution is good to go. Next, we see Skyfield. This is what I was talking about for Mega Rayquaza. Each player can have up to 8 Pokemon on his or her bench. Usually, you can only have 5. Just think of that. The playing fields aren't very large for TCG, especially when it's a bigger tournament, because people are squished together. You can barely get your bench of 5 out there as it is now. 8 Pokemon on your bench now. That's 3 more Pokemon. It's just... I didn't see this card coming. I don't know why they made it, but for that Rayquaza, where it does 30 times the amount of Pokemon on your bench, that's 8 times 30 is quite a bit. Quick math. 240 damage, which knocks out everything but Wailord EX, I think. I think that's the only Pokemon that's got more than that, and if you have Muscle Band on Rayquaza, then Dunzo, Bunzo, Sunzo. So it's just mind-blowing. And then things like Chorus and that Altaria, if each opponent has 8 Pokemon on the bench, 16 cards you get to draw. What other things? Empoleon, who does 10 times the amount of Pokemon in play, would be doing 180, which knocks out most EXs. It's just crazy stuff. But the unfortunate thing about Skyfield is when this card leaves play, so another stadium gets played, you have to discard until you have 5 Pokemon on your bench. So you can lose a lot of Pokemon that way, unfortunately. So that is the drawback to this stadium. Next, we'll see Steven. Search your deck for a supporter card and a basic energy card. Reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. So it's kind of like Karina, whereas Karina searched for a fighting Pokemon and an item card. Now you're searching for a supporter and a basic. So kind of the opposite of, not that technically the opposite, but the other cards that Karina didn't search for. We're finally seeing Switch in the series. Switch has been made for like promotional decks and that kind of stuff, but this is the first main series Switch that isn't an ultra rare. I believe Switch got ultra rare last set. Trainer's Mail may be useful. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a trainer card you find there, except for Trainer's Mail. Put it into your hand, shuffle your cards back in your deck. Ultra Ball got reprinted. You know, it's going to be around forever. Wally, this is a throwback to, I think it was Wally's training method is what it was called, back in the Ruby and Sapphire set. Actually, I think it was from Ruby and Sapphire Sandstorm, or Desert Oasis. I can't remember what it was called. But search your deck for a card that evolves from one of your Pokemon, excluding Pokemon EX, and put it onto that Pokemon. This counts as evolving that Pokemon. Shuffle your deck afterward. You can use this card during your first turn or on a Pokemon that is put into play this turn. So it's skipping that rule where you have to wait a turn to evolve your Pokemon as a supporter, because we have Evo Sword already that does the same thing, but you have to follow the wait a turn rule that goes into evolving Pokemon. So this Wally gets to override that. I'm apparently going to pull up other things when I don't mean to. Wide Lens, I don't really see it being useful. Damage from the attacks of the Pokemon this card is attached to damage from the attacks this Pokemon of the Pokemon this card is attached to is affected by weakness and resistance for your opponent's bench Pokemon. It's a lot of just random words, but essentially, so say for example, if you guys saw, well, actually it's coming up here. So say you're using a Zapdos, using Random Spark, which allows you to do 50 damage to the bench, and say you're attacking a Donphan, which resists electric. Normally do 50, now it's doing 30. That's why I don't think this card's going to be good, because a lot of the time when you're attacking the bench, you don't want their resistance. That's why you're attacking them when they're on the bench. That's my personal opinion. I guess it could be useful if you're hitting for a weakness, but I don't see it being good. Winona, supporter card, search your deck for up to 3 colorless Pokemon, reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle your deck afterward. Again, helping Rayquaza EX, this one. The Mega Rayquaza, the colorless one. And then, I love that this card was made. Special Energy, Double Dragon Energy. This card can only be attached to Dragon Pokemon. This card provides every type of energy, but provides only 2 energy at a time. Only while this card is attached to a Dragon Pokemon. So it's kind of like a mix of Rainbow Energy and Double Colorless, except you're not taking the damage, and it can only be put on Dragons. Is essentially what it is. So say you want to put it on Hydreigon. It would provide that Psychic and that Darkness energy, and then you just need 1 more energy for Hydreigon. Or it could provide the Darkness and the Colorless, or the Psychic and the Colorless, that kind of stuff. So I think that's going to be a very good card. And then we can go through the EX, or the Secret Rares and Ultra Rares here. We have Thunderous EX, cool. Gallade EX, I don't really like this full art, it's too purple. Mega Gallade EX, looking flashy, you know, use the Mega Gallade EX. We have Latios EX, looking pretty sinister, looking over his shoulder, like he's gonna mess you up because you bumped into him. Mega Latios, you know, he's there. Hydreigon EX, I prefer the half art just because it's got the eyes glowing and the secondary mouths are about to blast, but you know, still cool. I do like this Rayquaza EX. He's like coming out of a vortex, you know, roaring through the skies. This Mega Rayquaza looks freaking awesome. This is I guess only the colorless gets the full art, because these are the 2 colorless Rayquazas. But this Mega Rayquaza looks awesome, taking up the full art of the card. Shaymin EX, you know, he looks like a cartoon character. It's Shaymin EX, what are you gonna do? Full art Wally, cool. Winona looking fly. And then our secret rares for this set are going to be the Energy Switch and Versus Seeker. I saw Versus Seeker coming. Everybody loves Versus Seeker. I love Versus Seeker, so I don't know why I'm sounding salty about it. But Versus Seeker, awesome card. Now, just to finish this thing up, I know it's been going for a little while here, but to finish it up, we're going to do some honorable mentions. Cards that I liked the attack names or the art, or I think could be interesting, but not really. We see Execute. Of course, not as good as its original one, but you see the Spearow attacking Execute, and then when it evolves to Executor, it's like knocking all the Spearows around, because now it's a big tree. So you got an art story there, and I really like the attack Shake It Off. So apparently this Executor is a Taylor Swift fan. And it's 20 times the number of colorless Pokemon your opponent has in play, so if they're playing those big Rayquaza EX decks, this Executor kind of counters them a little bit. Not really, though. So that's the Executor. Next was Shedinja. I don't know how this card's going to work. That's my big thing. Like, it sounds cool, but I don't know how it's going to work. So Cursed Rain, for 1 energy, puts 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's Pokemon, switches Pokemon for 1 of your bench Pokemon. Okay. Hopeless Scream, 50 damage, and it's multiplied. This attack does 50 damage times the number of damage counters to this Pokemon. I'm like, oh, that could be cool. Then I looked at his HP. He has a 30 HP. There are very few Pokemon that do less than 30 damage to a Pokemon. So they'd have to do 10 or 20 damage, and I was trying to think of how you could put... I guess the only way you could put damage on yourself is Rainbow Energies, but at that point, you could do 50 or 100. That's about as much damage as Shedinja could do. So, like, I want him to be good, but then he only has 30 HP. So, maybe find a way to increase its HP somehow. Maybe it could be good. I don't know. I do not know. I did not make the card. Next is... we're actually going to come down to Shuppet. I don't know what they're doing there. They're, like, hanging from the roof by their horn. I don't understand. But the attack name is Bleh. Just Bleh. Discard a special energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon, which is okay. But I just like that they call it Bleh. And then the Ancient Trait Beignet we didn't look at. We looked at the normal one. This one has Delta Evolution. Evolution Jammer gets to stop Pokemon from evolving. And then Curse Deeply. I just like the name of the attack, Curse Deeply. Put 5 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon. So it's okay. It's okay. Deoxys was next on the list. Close Encounter. And then this is another one where you get to go first. You get to attack on your first turn if you went first. And you get to draw 2 cards. And then Overdrive Smash. Just Close Encounter and Overdrive Smash is essentially why I chose this Pokemon. And in case I didn't have another Pokemon that allowed you to attack right away. But we had that with Latios. Actually, what's Lucha doing? Oh, he's just in the city. He's in the city. And then we have Inkay. So we have the attack Rip Off. Choose a random card from your opponent's hand. Your opponent reveals that her hand. Shuffle it in your deck. I'm just kind of saying words. Rip Off. Kind of a cool name, but mostly it was for the story here. So at first look, I thought he beat the crap out of the Meowth and took its berry, but he actually just sprayed ink in its eye. And it has ink all over it. So we got that, and then if we come down here to the actual Meowth card, where is it? Where's Meowth? Which, actually, there's no Persian, just a Meowth. And there's no Malamar, just an Inkay. So I think they just kind of be like, hey, this is Team Rocket's Inkay and Meowth. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But Meowth has the attack Feeling Fine. Draw a card. He's not going to be feeling fine in a few seconds when that Inkay comes and steals his berry, you know. But after Inkay was actually Klefki, the attack Look for Keys. I guess it's a Klefki, makes sense. Reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal an item card. Put that in your hand, shuffle your other cards back in your deck. Okay attack, I guess. A lot of item cards and trainer cards are becoming attacks now, I'm noticing, because this was it was kind of like Random Receiver, but that Random Receiver found supporters. This finds items. And then last but not least, we have Pidove. Pidove has the attack Homing Pidove, and of course reference the Homing Pigeon. Look at the top card of your deck, then you may shuffle your deck. With that, guys, that is going to be the set. So this actually comes out May 6th, which will be tomorrow. So be sure to check that out. Hydreigon EX I'm going to end on because, again, this is my favorite card in the set by far. So I'll be for sure throwing Hydreigon into a few decks. I've always loved Hydreigon in the TCG. For the most, actually, I think every single card set are really good at either ability or attack. There's been the Hydreigon that moves darkness energies. There's been the Hydreigon that gets darkness from the discard. There's another Hydreigon. I can't remember what it does from the original set, but anyway, guys, we're going to finish up this video here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to see more of these reviews as sets come out, let me know in the comment section below, and let me know by hitting that like button. And we will see you next time, where I'm sure we're going to be opening this set next Tuesday, actually. So I'll get a box for you guys, open it up, see if we can find that Hydreigon EX, and we'll see you then. And look forward to it. Bye.